Wooden Shoe Farms is not just the cattle business, it's also a farming business. And when I graduated from high school, my father owned like 160 acres, and he taught us that hard work paid off, and next thing you know, we was farming several thousand acres and then getting even bigger and bigger. And as we did so, while I was in college, I was supposed to serve these internships, and I chose one of them in Montana for the Beartooth Ranch, and the other one I chose in Friday Harbor, Washington for the Wooden Shoe Farms. And while I was at Wooden Shoe Farms, I fell in love with the people, I fell in love with the cattle, and I decided right then and there that's something that I wanted to do for a long time. And as we came back after I got out of college and got married to my wife, we decided that we needed cattle on our farm. And so I bought like one or two and three or four, and the next thing I know, my father had sold our farm that bordered the college, and we was expanding big time.
My grandfather, he had cattle, but they started up here because in the Depression they had the drought down lower, and they come up here because there was a little more moisture and they could grow some crops here. So they come here with my grandfather that in 1945, and that started the premise of the whole thing. Then my father come the next generation, and he worked with my grandfather. He had cattle, first registered cattle come with my father, and then it was called LT Ranch. My dad, I remember buying some cows, just one or two, the first really polled Herefords. We were some of the very first polled Herefords to be in this area. Then as my dad came further through this, then the cattle became bigger and we done fine. Then my dad, my mother separated, and I split mine off as Timber Creek Ranch.
I told my dad, I said, we ought to buy Wooden Shoe Farms because it was coming up as a dispersion. And we talked it over, and I thought that would have been a good move so we could keep our summer help to help us in the fall. So we thought that was a good idea, and he gave me the money to make a down payment on it. And then actually when my mother found out about it, she wasn't so happy about it. That's how I ended up with Wooden Shoe Farms, and I moved him to Idaho, and I dang sure had some struggles. It was hard to make the payments, it was hard to make the cattle, but I knew if I had the good ones would pay the bills. And we got involved with several ranches that helped me along the way, and the cattle performed and won several shows, and then we was into the embryo transplant and I went a little farther. When people think of Wooden Shoe Farms, they think we just raise cattle. And that's far from the truth. Every morning we get up, we got 30 some center pivots to check. We grow like 2,000, 2,500 acres of wheat. We grow a couple thousand acres of hay. We got like 1,000 acres of barley. In fact, we got over 1,200 acres of wheat just in the organic program. And that's a full-time job. Bradley, my oldest son, kind of does the fertilizing and the spraying, handles all the chemigation and so forth. And it takes, there's 10 people here at Wooden Shoe Farms, and it's a sun-up to sundown job. We live on a desert. It looks pretty green and luscious, but without that water, this would be a wreck here. And we capitalize on that early grazing in the desert, that quick grass, and then we bring them into the irrigated fields. And one of the things that cattle helps us a bunch with is the fact that we grow a lot of alfalfa, we grow a lot of grain, and as soon as that grass starts to fade, we can put them cows in them grain fields and alfalfa fields, and so it makes our cost efficient. And we can produce most of our grains, but lets us be competitive price-wise, because it's a tough industry. And if you have to buy everything and hire everything, it's hard to make a profit. I made myself a promise, and the promise was I wasn't going to let the industry dictate to me what good cattle was. I had a cow in my mind that had a gorgeous udder and little teeny teats and really chisel fronted and just lots of capacity, and I was going to raise them kind of cattle, and I wasn't going to buy them based on what paper told me I had to do. And I figured that if I bought the kind of cattle that I liked and I raised, I could always buy a bull that would change them numbers or make things to what the industry would accept.
When I grew up showing cattle, and genetics was a huge thing. And I had been to several rodeos my whole life, but it always bugged me because I never heard anything about the horse. And I knew that the horse was a lot to do with the performance. And so looking at that, I figured that when you are raising cattle, you're looking at the genetics, you're looking at the performance, you're looking at all sorts of things from their offspring all the way to the sires and grandsires and dams and granddams, and it's really important. And so for me, I felt like owning horses, like you have to also focus on the importance of those things. And so looking at that, I wanted the best horses just like I want the best cattle.
Once we got married, my wife says, well, God, we got to get into showing horses. And I told her that if we were going to show horses, that either had to be cutters or it was going to have to be in the reining cow horse. And so she did some research and stuff, and she called me on the phone one night and she said, I'm on my way to pick you up. I bought airplane tickets and we're headed to Texas. And I says, Texas? What are we going to Texas for? And she says, Carol Rose is having one of her first production sales. She had everything packed and ready to go, and we flew to Texas and we went to a horse sale. There's one horse that really caught our eye and we were pretty impressed with, and so we ended up buying him the next day at the sale. The barn name's Willie, but his registered name is Shine the Lights. And we bought him. He was a 2-year-old when we bought him. And we kept him there with Carol Rose and Jay McLaughlin. And they showed him through the futurity years for us and into the Derby years. And Brad Lund showed him as a rope horse and as a cow horse. They showed him in Tulsa as a halter horse, and he ended up winning Tulsa as a halter horse. And then he went on to the World Show and won the World as a halter horse. And we were going in, we were sitting 4th in the world as a super horse, and we had a little bit of tough luck in the roping, and it dropped us out, but he still finished 14th overall in the world as a super horse. So after the World Show, we brought him home, and we had no offspring out of him yet, so we brought him home and we were pretty excited about him. So we brought him home and started breeding him to a bunch of our mares, and we're just starting to get all the offspring and stuff out of him that we're pretty excited about. And we can't wait to get them on the show road. The end of the line goal is we wanted to raise offspring and chase, or have a lot of these good genetics and that to where we can offer offspring for sale. Plus we want to be able to raise nice horses to where our kids growing up can have the opportunity to be able to compete on some of the offspring that we raise.
With us, like I say, genetics is everything. We have owned 5 or 6 bulls. The Remitol Online bull won 22L, a Denver National Champion and a Canadian National Champion. Patriot, Ranger, a certified 5-star gene tenderness sire. Mr. Hereford. One of our latest bulls is White Hawk Warrior, who's starting a carcass deal, has been very good. The Pioneer Bull 206E is just flat the best calves we've ever had. And so with them genetics and with the embryo transplant program, it's working great. At our age, we've been married for just almost 40 years now. And we reflect back on the times we went without and like, gosh, should we sell the farm? We could do anything we wanted to do. And I look and get up in the morning and I see green fields, I see water running, I see my grandkids that I'm so proud of. Is it fair to get rid of the farm and not give them the opportunity we had? And then I'm saying, geez, I don't know if I want them to go through them struggles and trials that we had. And I go, but also giving them a bunch of money that would ruin them also. And so my grandkids that are showing cattle right now is actually the 6th generation to show Hereford cattle. And you think about that, that's pretty impressive. If I didn't have my grandkids or my kids, what value is it? It's a legacy that I want to leave to them, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. I wish I would be here 100 years later and see how they did, but I've left them a start and I've left them a nucleus to draw from, whether it be in the agriculture industry, the cattle or the farming or whatever, and I'm pretty proud of that. One of the things we offer here at Wooden Shoe Farm is we believe in our junior members. I think that the whole industry is about the youth. Every fall we have a female sale. It's usually like in October, November. It changes from year to year. But we do offer a 10% discount to any junior member in buying a heifer calf. And we do also offer a breeding privilege to any of our herd sires if a person was to buy that calf, a junior member. And then last year was our first year we've decided to go to a bull sale every year. And it's usually like the first part of March, the first weekend, Saturday in March. And so now we offer a female sale in the fall, and we offer a bull sale in the spring. And in both sales, we offer registered polled Hereford cattle and registered Angus cattle. And usually about 50% of the offering are embryo transplants. We don't have a huge herd of polled Hereford cattle or Angus cattle, but we do have a large herd of recipients where we put in a couple hundred embryos a year. In 2021, we're going to offer our first club calf sale along with our female sale, so you'll have a chance of buying Angus, Herefords, or club calves, and we're kind of excited about that. So we'll see what happens. So if you're in our area and want to stop in and just visit, we'd love to have you. We'd love to show you our cattle. We're proud of our farming operation, and we'd love to show it to you. So if you're down our way, please stop in. We'd love to have you.